Hi, this is Mike Kay in South Bergen, come to you live from Comic-Con 2015. I'm here with David Walker. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a little insane here. But look, right in front of us, there's room to move, which means there's something wrong. Is there a gas leak in the building? And some people actually got out in time. But yeah, no, it's great. I'm having a good time.
Cool, man. So talk to us something about Cyborg. What can we expect out of this guy?
Robotic stuff coming out of his arms and the ability to fly. And you can expect a very human coming-of-age story in the midst of a lot of sci-fi and horrific elements, and a young man defining himself, for the first time away from a superhero team. Within the New 52, Cyborg's been a member of the Justice League, but before that it was the Teen Titans, and he's been around for 35 years, and there's been some one-shots here and some miniseries, but never a hardcore. This is really a Vic Stone book. It's not a Cyborg book, and so there hasn't been a hardcore Vic Stone book before that gets into the inner workings of this young man, how he interacts with the world, and how he sees his place in the world.
Yeah, I think I read one interview that you did where you're talking about, just in our society right now, about how information is just everywhere.
Yeah.
And Cyborg can tap into all this information. Somehow it's going to play into the story.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, if you've got a smartphone, you look around and you see people that are on their smartphones, they're texting, they're taking pictures, they're so plugged into technology, and yet they're not necessarily interacting with each other. And it's like we've traded these elements of our humanity for the convenience of taking a selfie, for, hey, where am I at right now with my friends, and I think that's pretty interesting because it's a choice that we have, whereas with Vic, it's not a choice. It's like he's constantly plugged into the technology, and so there's a moment in I think it's issue 2 where like the computer in his brain is telling him, you've got these messages that are coming in, and he's like, I don't want to hear them. Just unplug me from the internet. And so he has the ability to sort of turn off his personal hotspot status. But it's really like, think about that. What would it be like if it's the same as if you had your smartphone on 24/7 with alerts for everything. If somebody likes an Instagram photo that you took, ding, that'd be a terrible way to live, but yet a lot of us do it, So, I went out the other day, I forgot my cell phone, and after the first half hour of panic, it was like the most liberating day. But then I started thinking, well, what if I got an important email? It's like, well, what if I got an important email? It can wait. So, yeah.
I think I'm part of one of the last generations that didn't have that type of technology, didn't have the internet, didn't have that instantaneous, what's going on? Oh my God. So I think about those things sometimes too.
I grew up with 3 channels, so I remember what it was like to write a letter or to have change in your pocket to use a payphone because... Yeah, so I'm old, what do you want me to say? I remember when comics were 25 cents each, so yeah.
All right, so you've got this iconic character who's been around for a very long time, part of Teen Titans like you're talking about, seen him in, obviously, comic books, but also seen him in cartoons, too. We had Teen Titans and we had Teen Titans Go. What's the new take that you're going to have on him as opposed to what we've already seen in the past and maybe what we've seen in the cartoon?
Okay, well, for one thing, it's him. He's the center, he's the star, and so that in and of itself changes everything. I don't have to worry about, well, what's Nightwing doing or Robin doing while Cyborg's doing this thing, or what's Batman or Superman doing while Cyborg's doing things. It's like, well, what's Cyborg doing right here? What's Silas Stone doing? What's his supporting cast doing? So that's part of it, and then the other part is really it's just this focus again on this young man of who he is and how he's coming to grips with what he is, and what he is part machine. But it's in a lot of ways it's no different than, not to make light of it, but like if you lost a limb, or if you suddenly had some sort of ailment that put you in a wheelchair where you have to completely readjust your life. And that's what it's about. And as much as I love his appearances in Justice League or Teen Titans, it was very rare that you might get a single issue that dealt with something like that, but it was very rare that you would get to explore that over the course of maybe 2 or 3 issues and have it really be an integral part of the story, because while that's part of the story, again, you're over here dealing with, well, what's Robin doing? Raven's dad is back from the netherworld, and we have to deal with it while Cyborg's trying to figure out how to whatever. None of that.
So what can we look forward to over like the next 6 months with this character?
We can look forward to some pretty amazing action and him learning new stuff about his technology. His technology is evolving in ways that he doesn't quite understand, and in the process, he's becoming something more than what he already is. And so we're finding him at this point where he's not totally comfortable with who he is, but he's as comfortable as he's ever been. And then all of a sudden it's changing. And I equate it to like going through puberty, where you're 12 or 13 years old, and suddenly you go through puberty, and it's like, by the time you're used to going through puberty, then you're an adult. And it's not always easy.
So how did you get into the comic industry?
Blind luck. I came from a journalism background, but I started out wanting to be an artist. I went to the Kubert School right out of high school. I didn't have the talent or the patience to be an artist, so I started writing. I got a career in journalism, which was very successful, but I had a lot of friends in the comic industry, in part because I'd gone to the Kubert School, but also just sort of by luck of the draw. I knew a ton of people in the comics world. And so when the time came, I'd been at my job for nearly 10 years as an editor at a newspaper. A lot of my friends were like, come on, this is what you really want to do. I left my job, and when I say my friends, not to name drop, but it was, people like Greg Rucka and Jen Van Meter, Brian Bendis, who were all really dear friends of mine, were like, this is what you want to do. Like, we know you can do it, even though you haven't been writing this sort of stuff. So they really it was very much a lot of peer pressure. It was like, instead of smoking cigarettes, it was like, write comics. And so that's how it is. I got a project going at Dark Horse, did some indie stuff, some self-published stuff, and then just sort of showed up on the radar. And DC hasn't figured out what a horrible mistake they made hiring me. By the time they figure it out, it'll probably be issue 3 or 4.
Okay.
So you're going to get at least 6 out of me. And then, then they'll go, we got to get rid of this guy. And then it'll just be like, oh, remember when that happened? And so, or it'll be like the greatest thing ever, and I'll be around forever. So we'll see.
So if you had a new reader coming into your work, what would you recommend they read first?
Cyborg number 1 of my own work. I just wrote Shaft for Dynamite Entertainment, and I love that. That was a project that was really near and dear to my heart. And I've got a novel. My first novel that I wrote was Super Justice Force, which is a young adult novel, and that's also set in the superhero world. And it was after I wrote that, about 4 or 5 years ago, that a lot of the comic guys were like, okay, you need to be doing comics, really. So Super Justice Force is a book that I wrote. It's out, available. You get it on Amazon. But I'm like keyed with Cyborg. Like this isn't just me going, hey kids at home, support DC Comics. Just support me. Buy Cyborg, and I want to see more cosplayers. I want to see little kids with weird metallic things on their head and walking around. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Great interview.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. This has been Mike and Sal from Comic-Con 2015 signing off. Until next time, we'll retcon.